Dr. Edward, look at you! Your hand is in there! Simon, this is horrid! Dr. Edward needs help!
There's no need to worry, Miss Scarlet. I'm all right. This is my method for piloting the steam castle. I become a part of it.
But why would you pilot a castle? Castles don't go anywhere!
Pressure's up to 92%! We're ready! Launch!
Now you'll see. Observe.
Steam castle!
Well, hello YouTube. I don't usually do this. This is largely unscripted, but I came across a video that I thought was kind of stupid. And, well, he doesn't really know what he's talking about when it comes to artificial intelligence and how recommender systems work. I'm not saying I'm an expert in that by any means, but I do work with it, and I have some code to back that up. Anyway, guy's name is Vicky, but before we cover that, let's look at some memes, shall we? And you probably all heard of GameStop, and if you aren't investing in GameStop, you really should. Oh, Citron at 9 p.m. That was pretty hilarious. Oh yeah, we're not gonna focus on shorting anymore. We're just gonna focus on long-term investments now. And then Citadel is also getting their ass fucked, and it is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Alright, let's go find those lovely, lovely memes. Where did I put them? This site, right? Okay. So, this site... Oh, well, what do you know? Right there. Right in my face. Right. Check this out. Wow, stock market crash because I killed myself. I'll kill myself and my wife. People in 2020s. I will crash the stock market on purpose for fun. Yeah, no, Robinhood is in a very bad place right now. Either they, piss off all their customers, they leave and they lose money, or they let their customers invest and they lose money. They are fucked. Two ways to Sunday. It is not even funny. And I figure I follow the Discord for Wall Street Bets right here. And, I can't talk right now, but, you can watch. It's fine to lurk. You can see what they're planning and whatnot. But yeah, it's got to be the most epic short squeeze in history. It was pretty cool to be a part of that. I didn't dump very much. I didn't have much to dump in because I'm mostly buying off-grid technology because I'm into that sort of thing. You should be able to make everything yourself and to, not rely on, these people throwing you money all the time. You should be in a place where you don't need that much money. Looks like they're talking about Popcoin. Not sure what that is. I'll look at it later. That's not the main focus right now. The main focus, however, and let me just check my streaming settings for a second. Yes, this guy right here. And that probably looks ugly. But, yeah. Anyhow. Oh, yeah, I was going to try and stream, but it totally failed. I just don't have enough bandwidth to upload, so, because I have shitternet. That's probably old. Fuck you, Robinhood. And I was just making a account when they decided to ban everyone from buying GameStop. But anyway, here's Vicky, and he's gonna tell us all about how YouTube is trying to kill himself, get him to kill himself, which is not true. That's not how these algorithms work, especially AI, I would know. I have GeoBot right here, so I'll be prepared to show you this, show you how this works, and give you an idea about how AI really works. So here we go.
Think that YouTube and its algorithms are conspiring to make me kill myself. Quite a claim, isn't it? By having a look at why I say that, we can learn a surprising amount about how the algorithms which make up most of the internet operate, and how they do what they do, which, yes, sometimes is encouraging suicide.
I mean, yeah, and it's not that they encourage suicide, they're just giving you a mirror of yourself, right? So you feed the algorithm input, and it takes that input, right, and it gives you a recommendation, and that's how it works. And it works by building a model of you and your behavior, which is a very surprisingly reliable metric for getting you to click on things, which is why these people make money. And yeah, and one unintended consequence is, you know, it might encourage more sad songs, which he'll go into later. I watched this video lately and it just kind of pissed me off to the point where I decided, hey, let's make a video about it, right? I might not explain myself that well. I'm not really good at talking, but I can definitely demonstrate where he's going to be wrong here in a second.
Please recognize all of the trigger warnings. And also
Trigger warnings. This is fucking dumb. I mean, this is like on the level of self-imposed, you know, those FBI warnings you get when you was watching those VHS tapes. Maybe I'm too old or something like that. But they put on these warnings like rated PG-13, blah 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 blah. It contains this and this and that, and it's just fucking dumb. I don't know why people. The real world is far more terrifying than what you'll see on a screen, and I can say that from experience.
So yes, I did voice training, this is what I sound like now. Let's take a step back. Originally, I was going to make this video in March of last year. That's such a long time ago. Back then, I made weekly videos and went to college and had like 2,000 subscribers.
So yeah, I get this. He's gonna say, talk about his college experience and how it was very stressful for, well, I guess her, if we're being, you know, correct, politically correct. I'll call her for the remainder of this video because that's I'm not that much of a dick, you know. I mean, yeah, I can be a dick, but I don't want to be that much of a dick. But yeah, I get it. College is fucking stressful. It is. I too wanted to kill myself, so I kind of see myself in this person, so I'm not going to just beat her down over this. I mean, but once you get out of it, you start to realize that you're not guaranteed a job outside of college, and college isn't the end-all be-all. In fact, in most cases, it's useless. And like the stuff I know now, I didn't learn machine learning, you know. And just because you have a comp science degree doesn't mean you know anything. In fact, most of us laugh at comp science degrees. They're unbelievably retarded and stupid. I mean, this is not to say that they can't write code or anything, but they're just so behind the curve and they need to get caught up before they can be useful, unfortunately. And some companies aren't willing to do that. They're hungry for the talent, and unfortunately you gotta sit there, read those docs, and do it yourself. Get good scrub, and I'm gonna make a few recommendations to her here in a second.
How the times have changed. I only wrote 400 words in that original script, and it had a really weird tangent about Minecraft in it, which made up 90% of the script. I also recorded the clips for that before even finishing the script. Past Wiki had a wacky workflow. I salvaged what I could from the script, so the following story is what happened between March of last year and a bit later than that. Okay, so as you know, in March, COVID-19 became serious in Europe, and many public places were shut down. My college sent me to homeschooling, meaning I would do all schoolwork digitally. Naturally, I still spent the same % of my day on school things, but the time it usually took me to get to and from school was now time I could enjoy at home. And that is when I began to play Minecraft again. I had an extra 3 hours every day, so I had plenty of time for mining and crafting. Of course, you know that a good game is nothing without appropriate music. Unfortunately, the default Minecraft music got boring about 8 years ago, so I needed a different source of music.
Man, if you're that bored of Minecraft music. I mean, no, I get it. I got bored of Minecraft music, but it's nice to listen to while you're working. I would know. I actually have listened to it on some streams, but, you know, go on. We'll let her get to the point.
And what did I choose? Spotify? No, I heard they do music, but I literally never visited the website, so I chose YouTube, obviously. It's got all the hit songs and an autoplay function, which was all I needed. I used the Fresh account, which I had never used before, which is coincidentally just Vicky2000. You know, my second channel. And I began searching for music which I liked.
Uses autoplay because you just can't be bothered to go search in the search bar, right? Find music you remember that you liked. You know, I hate that, you know, when you forget. It's like, oh, what was that song? You know, it's like it's from 04 or something like that. And it's like, fuck, what was it? And then you hear it on the radio and it's like, fuck, what is that song? You know, yeah, that's something YouTube should totally do. And the only problem is, how do you codify all the things you've listened to? Like, I think how YouTube works, and I'm not sure because it is possible to overtrain a model, and the model can actually give you wrong results, and I've done this before, and I've seen it happen. For example, I'm going to jump in the code here for a bit, and I'll explain how this works later, but this is a chatbot, and it runs on NLP.js, and here is the main shtick. This is the training data for my chatbot. So how it works is it takes an intent, right? And it takes that intent. It tries to figure out your intent based on your utterances, which right here. So like someone asks Chiho, that's the name of the bot, when is your birthday? When do you celebrate your birthday? When were you born? Well, when do you have your birthday? The date of your birthday. And then she'll take these answers, she'll find the input, she'll take the input of what you're saying to her, and she'll spit back one of these answers. Today, I was born yesterday, if my memory serves correctly. I was born as soon as that fucker Millie, man, keeps my process alive. Yeah. And I can demonstrate how this works here in a second, but yeah, this is, you feed data to the model so you can train it. And it is possible to overtrain it. And one such example is, let's go down here, right? And I have this problem. So I'm trying to get Chiho to get the time of the day, get the day, and the time. All of these are really similar questions, right? So you could say, hey Chiho, what day is it today? What day of the week is it? What day is it? And she'll say today is, and then she'll take that intent, go here, and boop, 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 doop, doop. Here we go. See, all these intents are very similar, so she needs to be able to define which different intent you want. And so you might ask for, hey, what day is it? And she'll spit back the date, which is not what you want, right? You want, hey, it's a Wednesday, it's Tuesday, or whatever. That's just something that can happen with, overtraining a model and having something like that. You can get very similar things that are very hard to differentiate. And if you don't train the model correctly, you can get problems like that. And this is why I say that I theorize, I haven't looked at YouTube's source code, but I theorize that they, I think that they only train data on a certain amount because the recommendations change all the time, right? You start looking at, different videos and you'll get recommended those videos. Sometimes it'll be survival videos for me, sometimes it'll be Nightcore videos too. I do also listen to Nightcore, as what Vicky mentions, but yeah.
First one.
That was an example of how recommender engines can get it wrong. So yeah.
Sabaton, a Swedish power metal band. I quickly noticed that calm Minecraft gameplay and power metal about the winged hussars storming down the mountainside to relieve the Second Siege of Vienna don't go well together. So I moved on to the other kind of music I listen to, socialist propaganda from the Cold War.
Oh, of course you do, you fucking tanky. If you really want to affect change, you should buy GameStop stock. But whatever, you won't do that. You'll just whine and complain.
Though that didn't get me in the mood for mining and crafting either. It just made me want to join the Red Army to defend the motherland of the revolution against fascist hordes, or to join the Workers' Army to establish a socialist world republic. So not really a Minecraft mood either. In order to justify what music I was actually listening to, I need to explain the mindset and emotional situation I was in at the time. Oh yeah, this is another video which secretly turns out to be all about how mentally ill I am, because apparently I can talk about that forever, which might not be a good thing.
Might not be a good thing, you mean that is not a good thing. You are creating your own echo chamber. You are literally feeding the algorithm your data, and it's spitting it back out at you, and it's making these recommendations based on what you recommend. It's not some human that, you know, is trying to get you to kill yourself. You're humanizing the algorithm, and it's a completely natural thing to do. We apply human characteristics to all sorts of inanimate things. You can see this in animation, for example, when someone animates a flour sack or the rug from Aladdin. But the algorithm is just that, the algorithm. It doesn't care. It just takes your input and it spits back your output. And the one who's training that data is you. It's you. And you're gonna get it wrong, but you know, I'll let you go.
In general, back then my mood was not always great. I was very stressed with school and YouTube, you know, weekly videos. And on top of that, my grandpa got cancer, which obviously emotionally affected me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're very close to your grandparent, I can see that. You know, the closer you are to someone, the more that hurts. And yeah. But yeah, and then college is stressful. I get it. You know, and then I have to have that all on top. You know, I went through a breakup in college, and it was very difficult for me to even work and even explain my issues to some people, to a psychologist who didn't really care. You know, she was working for free, at least, or she was paid by the college, which was handy, which was nice, but she saw a lot of people. It was hard to really build a good client relationship with this person. You know, client professional relationship. That's kind of important whenever you do these sorts of things. I have been to a good psychologist growing up. I was very fortunate for that. But yeah, it's yeah.
At the same time, I started my hormone therapy, and you may know.
Oh my god, ugly. What's that fucking site? How to artwork? Jesus Christ. It's so gaudy now. I used to think it was the shit when I was so young.
That hormones, especially female ones, mess with your emotions. So naturally, I wasn't in a mood for nice upbeat music. I was in the mood for stuff that was closer to how I was feeling, meaning sad music. I actually knew one song that sort of fit what I wanted to hear. It's called Empty, and it's about anorexia and bulimia. It was made by an animation YouTuber called Jaden Animations, whose videos I enjoyed at the time. Well, I mean, I still enjoy them. It was just, I binge watched all of them around that time, which is also around the time I made animated videos. I wonder where I got that idea. The song is about the feeling of being unhappy with your weight, the inability of others to understand, the internal struggle as you notice how...
Here's something I want to tell you, Vicky. No one will understand you. This is the fundamental truth of life. Words only approximate what you feel inside. It's impossible to feel your experience unless you're in Paprika and you can experience people's dreams together. Then you can get a little closer to that. But that's something you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your life. This isn't gonna go away. That's how life is. You know, life is pain. Doesn't matter how much money you have, how much stuff you have, how secure you are in your situation in life. It's always gonna suck. It's just how it is. And you know, maybe this realization may not, you know, be eye-opening, or maybe it's like, oh wow, thanks, I didn't know that before, you know. But you know, it's, you start to appreciate the little things, and like going outside, that really helps. And then start focusing on things that you know are scientifically made to make you happy. Do all the things right, and then complain. And then get drugs and all that good stuff. But yeah.
How dangerous this is, and eventually the final part is about how you can reach out and get help, and that is really incredibly inspiring to hear. You can get help and it can get better. Only that in Austria you'd need to pay a few €1,000 for eating disorder treatment, so I can reach out to them, alright? I just can't afford the treatment. But hey, I appreciate the positivity. Note that at the time I did not struggle with bulimia or anorexia. That would only start a few months later. I just liked it as a song. So I kept going, playing Minecraft, listening to that one song on repeat for hours. Naturally, it got boring after a while, and I didn't know any other music, so I had to look at what YouTube was suggesting. Based on my continued listening of that one song, YouTube determined two things. First, that I wanted to hear sad songs, which is an accurate assessment based on what I listened to until then. And second, that I want to only hear Nightcore. Now, I don't personally have a problem with Nightcore, but it is interesting that YouTube has suggested nothing else for the past year almost.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I mean, you're training the algorithm, right? And I mean, maybe you don't fully understand what's going on behind the hood, and I don't claim to either, but I think I have a good idea of what you're doing, of what it's doing, in fact. It's like I said, you can overtrain a model, and it can give you wacky results, like really out there results, and sometimes it helps for the model to sleep or to rewrite a new one, because you're the one training the model, and that's the key thing. That's the next thing I'm going to implement in the chatbot, for my chatbot, because right now all I'm doing is implementing the model myself. I'm training my Chiho, my Lobot herself. So yeah, looks like there's something knocking on my door. I wonder what that could be. It's probably the dang cat.
I never clicked on a Nightcore video specifically because it was Nightcore. That was all autoplay. Though, to be fair, I never clicked away from those songs either, so I guess YouTube correctly assessed that I will indeed listen to Nightcore if autoplay tells me to. I don't feel strongly about it either way.
Yeah, and that might be an issue too. Maybe you should exercise more executive functions instead of letting YouTube run your life. That recommender engine can really get you, you know. It's something that should be used responsibly. But yeah, go ahead.
So there I was, playing Minecraft for hours on end, letting autoplay decide what I'm listening to. But somehow, while playing, I kept feeling more and more depressed, kinda sad, and empty, and hopeless, and eventually even suicidal. And then I looked back at what YouTube made me listen to, and I was surprised. Here, a song about your self-image and about self-harm, made by another animation YouTuber, which is presumably the video that connected the song I listened to the songs YouTube was suggesting. Okay, a little side note. Apparently the connection between these two songs is so like ingrained that when I had a look at this video, which I never watched with this account, with my Wiki1999 account, I never watched this, yet still YouTube pushed me from this to this, which means I guess that That's how connected those videos are. That was coherent. It kept going. A song about bullying and another one. And then one on wanting to drown your sorrow in alcohol. Note that this was only about a month before.
Drown sorrow in alcohol? That doesn't make sense. Why would you use alcohol for that? Alcohol is used to make you less anxious. That's what I use alcohol for. Alcohol makes you more depressed, so it doesn't make sense to do that. That is like, hey, want to be more sad? Drink alcohol, you know? I can guarantee it, it will make you the big sad. It will give you the big sad if you drink like enough, even just like 1 or 2 drinks, it will give you the big sad. So yeah, I know maybe some people say it makes them happy. It's a depressant. It's a depressant. So yeah.
Before I became an alcoholic. And here, a video on depression, and a song about depression, and another one. And it was actually 5 songs all about depression.
You know, ironically, I kind of want to look at all these ones just so I can get an idea of what they're like, because I love Miku Hatsune. That's good shit. It's my favorite. I love Miku. Pinocchio P all the way, man. Love you. I love you.
One after another, just from autoplay. And it didn't stop there. Next were videos about all sorts of incredibly depressing and incredibly serious topics. This one is about self-harm and someone dying from it. This isn't light stuff. And it didn't get better from there. Here, songs about death and depression. And then, of course, to top everything else, songs about suicide.
Yup. Oh, the noose song. That was a fun one. I actually learned how to tie a noose with yarn. That was fun. Can't remember. And after that, it led me to looking up of useful things to use with a noose knot. And some of them are like tightening ships to ropes. That's or to a dock. My bad. Yeah, it's one of the useful things for a noose rope. Other than, you know, but yeah, it actually works really well. It applies the pressure pretty evenly whenever you try it. I tried it. In fact, there's still floss on my tools because it tightened it so damn tight. Besides the point, if you listen to depressing shit, you're gonna be depressed. And this is not controversial or anything. And this is in scientific literature all the time. You can read this. It's not controversial. It's not like that happens. So I would encourage you to just stay away from that. You know, go do something else, drink water, take care of yourself, self-care, which, you know, if you're anorexic, that might be difficult, but you seem to have enough time in the day to play Minecraft. You know, that's enough time to go out, take a shower, maybe go for a walk outside, even if it's cold, you know, or maybe just go to a supermarket, right? And you can just walk around, maybe start a small conversation with someone, even if it's super awkward, right? But yeah.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 7. And that's only the ones I took screenshots of. So, what happened there? It feels like me listening to one half sad, half hopeful song made YouTube think, oh, you like sad? I can make you sad. And it then
I mean, oh, Vicky, you're so cute. Thinking you're applying human traits to an algorithm. But no, I'll forgive you for that one.
proceeded to give me more and more depressing songs, to make me more and more depressed, and more songs about death, to make me think more and more about death, and ultimately songs that made me think about suicide. Now, this was around the start of summer, when my life got a lot harder. I was stressed as hell from school, my emotions were out of control because of HRT, all my suppressed childhood issues and trauma hit me with full force, and of course my grandpa still had cancer. And it hurts to say this, but he was ultimately getting closer to dying every day, and we just had to watch it, which I didn't take well. I, of course, turned to many unhealthy ways to cope with all this, alcoholism and self-harm, to name only 2. And ultimately, I had myself hospitalized in a psych ward.
Oh my gosh, you're doing it wrong. If you're gonna self-medicate, at least, do something right. Do it with science backing it. I would smoke weed or Delta 9. Do that. Psychedelics will change your life. It is proven. There is scientific literature behind this. But in fact, weed actually raises your serotonin levels, and quite a bit actually, and it actually builds up in your system, kind of like an SSRI. And it just kind of builds up in your system to the point where if you actually take weed long enough, you will actually have nausea, which is the result of having too much of this neurotransmitter serotonin in your system. I better let the cat in. 1 second.
Because I felt constantly.
Alright, I'm gonna put my headphones back on. And if you will stay there and be a good cat and don't play with my headphones. Right? Okay.
Suicidal. Of course, I wouldn't pretend that the YouTube algorithm was personally out to make me suicidal, except in the title for rhetorical reasons. Of course, the ward did absolutely nothing to make me be better, so I tried to keep going like before, but really I couldn't anymore. So I made my mental health video and declared a break from YouTube to focus on finishing college and then to work on my mental health, so I can go back.
Yeah, good for you, for trying to work on your mental health, but sometimes it's a good idea to practice working while you are mentally impaired, because in certain situations you don't have the luxury of having your mental health, and I can attest to several times when that was the case. There are times when I've had to go to work after my ex have cheated on me, and I could not just give the excuse it was a production bug that needed to be done now, and you're probably gonna say, oh, this is capitalism, this is what capitalism made you do. Jeez. You need to get, some things just need to get done, and your mental state, you have to put it off and then deal with it later, because that's just how the world works. And if you can do that and deal with your emotions later, you can be a lot more successful than you're being right now, and you won't say the stupid shit that you're saying, but right? But good for you that you have the luxury to do that. That's great.
To being productive. I maintain this break to this day. I do not promise regular uploads, ever. Though recently I considered setting some loose goal, like 1 video every 2 weeks, to get myself to do something. But if my mood gets worse or I get stressed, I will drop that plan and upload when I feel like it again. To finish the college, I had to do a Matura, which is a very big exam, roughly equivalent to an English A-level exam. TLDR, I failed in one subject and decided that the only logical course of action was to down 18 times as many sleeping medications as I was supposed to, while listening to the exact songs about suicide which YouTube had brought to me only
Yeah, that was completely unwarranted. You didn't need to do any of this, and let me just give you some perspective after being in college for about 3 years. It's not college. These people are going to make you think like this is like the pivotal moment in your life, that this is like, oh, if you don't go to college, you're gonna be a loser for the rest of your life. You're not gonna make any money. You're not gonna be in the industry. The truth is, you could be successful and still fail. So it doesn't matter. Okay, this college thing doesn't matter. I mean, some people. I mean, it probably depends on your degree, right? Maybe you're going for a doctor. I don't know. But I think later you said it was comp science. Really, Vicky? Come on, go to Free Code Camp. Drop your school. This is bullshit. You're wasting your time. In fact, you would do better going to Free Code Camp than you would getting your degree. That's for those like if you want to work on legacy systems for the rest of your life and not be on the leading edge of technology, you can do college. You can learn Java, you can learn C Sharp, and you can learn all C++ and all that good stuff that is supposedly about the future, but it's not. It's not. It's bullshit. It's legacy tech, and these colleges can't keep up with the market, and they can't. They can't. It's impossible for them to do such a thing. Yeah. This was unwarranted. You really didn't need to do this, and if you had the perspective, you would know that this doesn't matter. College doesn't matter. And I'm a result of that, and I can attest that I literally sat, I'll tell you, I sat in a college classroom, right? And you know what the teacher did? He's like, okay, everyone, we're gonna watch this Linda video, and you're gonna learn how to write Python. And I'm just kind of like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. I paid $1,500 for me to watch a Linda video, which at the time costs about $20 maybe per month. I don't know. It was absurd. It was fucking absurd. And in that moment, I realized I was getting suckered, and I decided I was already like towards the end of my college career anyway. So I figured, I already dropped the money. I might as well just go on with it. But it was that moment that I realized that what I was doing, I could just get for cheaper or free, and a lot of this comp science is going to depend on you and depend on what you do with it. So after college, you better be grinding hardcore, reading that documentation, practicing. You better get on Free Code Camp, because I guarantee you, with the understanding you have now of computer science, it ain't enough. I can already tell you that right now. All right.
A few weeks earlier, and which made me think about suicide so often that I eventually did it. I survived, obviously, in part due to my Discord server calling the cops on me. I was very high on sleeping medication, so everything felt super surreal, but eventually I woke up 2 days later in a psych ward.
That's funny. You probably took some, what is that, what's it called? Oh, Benadryl. That's right. That's good shit. It's supposed to be non-habit forming. Yeah, that people take that to get high. You're not gonna kill yourself on that. Silly Vicky. Silly. This is why you should research the drugs before you start putting them in your fucking body. Because then you won't get the unintended result, and then you'll go to a psych ward because you didn't do it right. I'm not saying you should go eat some nightshade or anything, but really, you need to think before you put shit in your body, Vicky. Come on.
I was not a fan of that, and I sent my teacher a super mean email, which was like, I tried to kill myself and it's because of the grade you gave me, which was incredibly toxic. I shouldn't have done that.
You're right, you shouldn't have. At least you recognize that. That's good.
I wouldn't have done that if my judgment wasn't impaired by an overdose of sleeping meds, and I apologized later.
However, I will say with the teachers like that, I think they know that they're duping you, and if they like you enough and you really try to talk to them, they'll tell you to your face. They'll give you little hints that's like I've even met this one teacher. She was this WordPress person, and she was teaching us JavaScript, right? It was a JavaScript class. So I asked her, it's like, why is this lady here? She knows JavaScript really well. What's she doing here? And that's something she said. She was like, what is this? What is she even doing here? It's like sometimes you go work in the industry first. You should, this is with computer science. It's a lot better if you go work in the industry first, then get your degree. because then it makes sense. It makes the most economic sense to do that. I had a trust fund. You can call me a trust fund baby all you want, I guess. But I wasted it all, and I didn't make good use of it. I knew I didn't want to go into debt, but I did starve in order to buy books. I starved myself so I could buy books in an apartment. And I had to go to a food shelter so I could afford school and a computer to do my work on, because the computer I had didn't have enough power to do my assignments, and it sucked. And yeah, and this was also the time when I learned how to use Linux, because Windows ate my hard drive, and Windows sucks, and I hate them forever, and I will always hate them. I don't care how much they're putting into open source. They can suck a cock. And yeah, I will develop my own JavaScript library that I will use for my own purposes, because I don't need TypeScript. TypeScript can go suck a dick. That being said, I can work on TypeScript projects, and I have before. So it's not like I don't like it, but I can use it, That's the kind of attitude that I have towards it. But anyway, yeah, it's not worth it. And the teachers will even tell you, it's not worth it too, what they're saying. Although some of them don't care, and they'll just be like, yeah, you need us, because you need to get a job, right? But some employers are like that. But a lot of employers are wising up, and if you can demonstrate your skill in computer science, then you'll get the job. And it's all about that portfolio. It really is. It really is.
Wasn't the teacher's fault that I didn't study. Of course, the grade wasn't the whole reason for my attempt. It was more like the last straw. For weeks I had felt like I wanted to die, like my life was pointless. My grandfather had died earlier that month, and then I was panicking over failing an exam which I studied for 3 years. I shouldn't have failed, and that's why what happened. It was an impulsive decision caused by my general life situation. What I am interested in is how these tragic events were influenced by what YouTube did. After all, it did bombard me with songs about suicide for weeks on end. Of course I was complicit. I never clicked away from those songs, and I was willing to listen to them. After all, when you are sad, you like sad songs, even though they make you sadder, which may be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I know your situation. I'm not trans by any means. I know people who are trans, and from what I know about trans people and me is that we're very similar in that we have a large amount of self-hatred, and for different reasons, probably. I used to have a lot of self-hatred, and now I don't have any, just because I kind of realized what mattered to me, and just being in a couple relationships that failed, and I realized what actually mattered to me. That's when I decided, no, I'm gonna go Vocel on this. I'm gonna be single for the rest of my life. Fuck it. But yeah, you have a fundamental self-hate. You need to find, you need to appreciate the small things in life, because your life could be a lot worse. I know it's tried and true, but seriously, it really could. It can always be worse. And I don't, as much as I don't like you, I wouldn't wish you to commit suicide. I know I said kill yourself, but like, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. I have a smidgen of empathy left. But yeah, go on.
Showing me that many songs about suicide, YouTube was doing more than just giving me songs I would listen to. It was giving me an idea. By telling me about depression and death all the time, it implied that those are topics worthy of my attention. Things I could and...
Yeah, and this is why you should, I'm going to take my own advice on this one here in a second. determine what's worthy of your attention, right? Your attention is valuable, and these companies have made it blatantly obvious, especially YouTube, especially Google, especially Facebook. Your attention is valuable, very valuable, and you should sell it. And you can really make your life a lot better depending on what you pay attention to, or you can make it worse by what you would pay attention to. Keep that in mind.
Should think about. And by making songs about suicide, it is doing that as well. Suicide is seen as important enough to warrant a song about it, which shapes how you think about it. It makes suicide seem closer, like an option rather than an act of desperation. And to someone who was in a very depressive mindset, like I was back then, that may be too much.
Don't worry, I promise. You live long enough, you'll know what line you'll draw between committing suicide and what not. It's actually harder than you think it is. Especially if you ask yourself why you try so hard. I always do that whenever I feel depressed. It's like, why am I trying so hard? What do I think I'm going to accomplish here? Life is fundamentally meaningless. But then, even then, we still find ways to map some sort of meaning to our lives, however superficial it may be. And for some people, it's like religion, right? For some of us, it's politics. For you, it's probably socialism and becoming... and you have a very interesting take on socialism and what it is. You define it really weird. And I wrote a script earlier to explain why that script is fundamental. I mean, why that definition is fundamentally flawed. Because you just... Oof, you speak differently. But yeah, we'll get to that someday. I haven't forgotten you, Vicky. Don't worry.
Maybe too harmful. I fully recognize that this video is doing a similar thing, talking about suicide, making it seem closer, making more people think about it, and so on. I just think that the potential danger is outweighed by the benefits discussing this will have, especially since the most vulnerable people won't watch this because I added a warning before the video. What? You're telling me that nobody respects trigger warnings?
Of course not. But I think you know this and you say that, so...
Which I know because I always ignore trigger warnings even when I know that it's bad for me. Well, personal responsibility, your choice. And I don't want to blame YouTube for my issues. Of course not. Even without ever listening to a single song about suicide, I am still extremely emotionally unstable due to, you know, how I have borderline, which is 50% uncontrollable emotions, 10% harmful impulsive behavior, and 40% unstable interpersonal relationships. Also, according to the very reliable source of Google, it is the most painful mental illness, so I got that going for me. But I have to wonder how much those dozens upon dozens of hours of songs about suicide made me think about it and made me consider it. Because ultimately, maybe if it wasn't for YouTube making me feel hopeless and giving me songs about hopelessness, then maybe instead of trying to kill myself, I would have self-harmed or gotten drunk instead of that way more radical step which I tried, and I'm now glad I failed. So...
I mean... I don't know. I mean... I'm kind of curious as to say why you're glad you failed. I mean... I've said that too over and over again to myself, and I think to myself, you know, maybe I just don't really know what my limits are, you know? It's hard to say, especially when you're already pretty terrible at killing yourself. No offense, but yeah, you're pretty bad at it. But then again, I am too, so I've had a lot of experience trying to do that myself. So, yeah. I actually owned a gun for some amount of time, and I did think about pointing it at myself. It was a nice small little mouse gun, you know, and I could see the bullet in the mirror, and I could look at it bullets in the chamber, right? And my fingers on the trigger. It's like, I could just pull this trigger. And I wonder what would happen, you know? How long would it take for me to die? You know? And so I looked into it. And the fact is, there's rarely a peaceful or graceful way of dying. It's ugly. Life is messy. It always was. When you come into this world, it's messy. When you go out of this world, it's messy. When you take a shit, it's messy. Life is messy, and you just gotta get used to it, you know, or learn something new and figure out how to manipulate it so it's less messy. So, yeah.
I think that YouTube moving you from a semi-sad song to literal content about suicide is kind of a problem, because music is powerful and it can have powerful effects on people because it is so emotional. And when the algorithms make you remember the lyrics to a song that glorifies suicide word by word, then that might be a bad thing for your mental health.
Yeah. No shit.
And it might also be very dangerous to leave in place for other people. I didn't do anything special for YouTube to push me towards suicide content. I created a new account and listened to this song, and that's all I did. And it ended with a literal suicide attempt. So let's try to understand why YouTube is like this. Who made the algorithm which decided this? Which Google...
Not you, and not me, but if I was the Google engineer, I wouldn't change a single thing. Because it's not my responsibility to, it's not their responsibility, it's yours. And, you go back and forth on this issue, but, really, you should be the one to, you know, like, this goes back to what I said earlier in the video. Your attention is valuable. You need to focus on what's important, right? You need to focus on you and what's important. And I don't know, maybe your psychologist says something like this. I don't know if she does like cognitive behavioral therapy, but yeah, this is, you're gonna try and make us cater to you when we don't really need to, and we don't have the financial incentive to do that either. So yeah, I'm just coming at this from a capitalistic point of view, and I've always have been pretty capitalistic, and that's why I watch your videos, because they just, they just warrant a response, and it's just, you just get under my fucking skin, and it just, But go ahead.
What engineer should I email this video to? Well, as you may or may not know, I actually got a diploma in computer science.
Oh, I got an associate's in computer science, and I know more about artificial intelligence than you do.
Which is what that exam was about, by the way. So, I know a bit or two about this topic. And
Yeah, that's all you know.
the depressing answer is that nobody is to blame. This isn't the 80s in which...
You're wrong, you are to blame, and that's why, and I will just demonstrate this now. Okay, but actually, I think he has a few, she has a few things. Forgive me, it's hard for my brain to associate. I hear a voice that sounds like mine, and I associate it with a male voice. Please forgive me for that. Sorry.
a program is programmed by a programmer who can then explain step by step how it works. Broadly speaking, nowadays, you have a program which is self-teaching.
Yep, and it's not that hard to implement. Well, it is kind of difficult. There's lots of steps involved, but generally you can do it. And
You give it some goal, some number to work towards, and it will improve itself in ways which humans can't always understand.
yes and no. It all depends on how you program the model. So we'll go ahead and make a little demonstration, shall we? Okay, let's get into this part of the talk. Alrighty, so this is ChihoBot, and I can show you how she works, but we'll go ahead and set up the terminal right here. Alright. And go to, there we go, ChihoBot. And we'll go ahead and fire her up. Node. We'll say NodeMon just so it's easy. Motherfucker. Okay. They got a lot of Node version managers. I love Node. It's literally my favorite environment to program in. So we'll say nvm use v 12.16. That's 1.5. Come on, there you go. Now we'll say NodeMon. Boom. All right. So this is, it's running on this server, right? Okay. So, and this is the training data. This is the amount of cycles that Chiho will go through, hold on, this file, right? And this is what she does. So this is Chiho Corpus, and this is her model, and this is how she is able to, you know, answer questions, right? So it's really cool. All right, and this is how many times that she trains, and so this number right here. So the way that AI works is you feed it some data, and it turns that data into a floating point value between 0 and 1, and it calculates a score between 0 and 1, and depending on a certain threshold, it will say yes, that's what that is. So like, for example, we'll go through and we'll use this example here. Like I said earlier, when is your birthday? When do you celebrate your birthday? These are all the utterances she gets trained on. And so we can go ahead and we'll ask her what her birthday is, right? Cool. See? Oh, look, she initialized. So we can say, Chiho, when is your birthday? And she'll give you an answer from here. Today, or she was born yesterday. So she's not completely done. It takes a little bit of work to do this, but yeah. And as what Vicky says, I'm actually programming her model by hand, and this is how I program ChihoBot. I work on a model. I don't, well, I did write all this stuff. I wrote a few if statements, but it's very small, right? So we have a function time, so we can ask her what the time is, you know, and then we have a few announcements, because that's what we use bots for, right? So we have anime announcement, we have, what else do we have? We have a search intent, so we can search DuckDuckGo if we want. What else? We have time date, time. Oh, and then we even can have her say fuck off to other bots in the chat, specifically Fishy. But that's another thing. Cat, stop. Right? Okay. So, here we go. We have a few utterances. We can ask her what Bitcoin is. We can address her. So, let's try addressing Chiho. We can say, hi. And she'll say, what is it? And basically all it's doing here, it's taking all these utterances, calculates them on a score, and gives an answer based on that utterance. And it's really simple. And the one thing that would improve this is if I had a corpus.json that could update itself. And all that it'd have to do to make Chiho learn is to update the corpus.json just by feeding her certain input. And that's how I can make it learn, and have her learn based on this model of me that she makes. And this is how YouTube works. It updates the model based on your preferences, and that's how it works. And this is why Vicky is wrong, and she doesn't understand how AI works. So yeah. And there's my little demonstration. We'll go back and finish up.
To exemplify this, I would like to talk about Reddit. Lately, I have come to terms with my rather severe and escalating anorexia, and currently minor bulimia. As a part of the process of understanding that issue, I sought contact with people who have similar problems. For this, I visited eating disorder communities on Reddit. notably r/ED Anonymous and r/ED Anonymemes, which are focused on discussing eating disorders without encouraging them in any way. So the Reddit bot was given the information that I regularly visit subreddits related to anorexia and eating disorders. What do you think Reddit did with that information? It recommended weight loss communities. Of course, naturally, the thing you need when suffering from anorexia, weight loss. But this allows us to understand how the
Yes.
bot works.
That's kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna happen. Programming models isn't perfect, and yeah, and that does tend to happen. If you have eating disorders, then fitness would be good, but fitness is not for people with eating disorders is not necessarily bad. There are healthy ways to lose weight, and you do it slowly. Just people don't like it, and fitness is a lifestyle, not a choice. Well, it is a choice, but you gotta continuously make that choice. That's what it's about. It's not easy, but it gets easier the more you do it. So that's why I periodically keep doing it.
The bot is looking at people who are anorexic and people who use fitness subreddits, and it sees that oftentimes these people are the same people. So it suggests that
Yeah, and this is a mistake that humans can make too, because it's like the ice cream problem, right? In data, there's a correlation between people who eat ice cream and crimes during that day. Like, the more ice cream sales are, the more crimes there are. So does it follow that ice cream trucks cause more crime rate, or does crime rate cause more ice cream sales? There's no causal connection, and that's the problem with some of these recommender engines. They don't understand the causal links of that. And so really, I mean, yeah, it's a problem, but it's not something you should be blaming it on, honestly.
people who are anorexic take part in weight loss subreddits, because oftentimes they do. And YouTube works the same way. It knows that sad people listen to sad songs. So it sees me listening to a sad song, and it suggests more sad songs, and eventually songs which are so sad that they are depressing, and so on.
Yep, and YouTube isn't smart enough to see whether or not you're looking at the screen or listening to it or not. They don't know that, and that's why it's wrong, and you shouldn't trust the recommendations all the time. You gotta use that brain. You gotta use that brain.
And these two examples I used, YouTube pushing towards suicide and Reddit trying to make anorexic people lose weight, are both obviously problematic. The YouTube bot may work fine if you're using it to find more interesting Minecraft Let's Plays, or any of another 1,000 cases in which the suggestions work fine. What I am worried about is when the things YouTube suggests are not fine, like when it comes to suicide and mental health. Or, to use an example more relevant to my channel, political polarization. The algorithm will in general always show you something that is a bit more of what you are watching right now.
Yep, and that's why I watch yours, so I can get an idea of what my opposition thinks. Yep. And that's why you have those small 10 dislikes, because we have 10 genius people who've discovered that, hey, this algorithm thing doesn't know everything in the world. So there you go. It's probably more by now, but we'll see.
You may start with a dispute about the scientific paper, and you will end up with flat earthers. You may watch a centrist political rant and end up in the far right. Or hell, you may watch a video about Fallout 3
And this is why I go out and do my own tests, right? You can watch review video after review video of certain products, and you can see all the information on the internet, but you won't know it's true until you go out and see it with your own two eyes and feel it with your own two hands, And we don't have the luxury of doing that all the time, so I get that. But experience, like, you can't discount experience, and you also can't discount some of the information here. And it really is difficult to figure out what's true on here at all. And so you just gotta think in terms of, like, okay, does this make sense? Would it follow that this would make sense? Like, for example, I would love to believe that Robinhood is just this terrible company, but really, they just don't have any money. They made a bad investment decision, and now they are getting fucked in the ass by Reddit, and they're stuck in a rock and a hard place now. So it's like I mentioned earlier in the video, until I cut this, but yeah, go on.
End up on my channel. And is that a good thing? Out of the 3 examples I used, I only think that the third one is acceptable.
Of course you think it's acceptable. Yeah, of course you do.
I genuinely believe that my channel and my beliefs are a way to make the world a little better. But of course,
I think your beliefs make the world infinitesimally worse. And I think once you know more about programming, you'll change your views a little bit. I mean, I did change my views a little bit on, like, minimum wage and something like that, but I still think minimum wage is toxic and it's a band-aid on the bigger problem, which is, like, inflation of the currency. And inflation doesn't solve that. It just, it's a band-aid. The corporate faggots are still fucking in the ass,
Of course, a flat earther and the fascist think the same thing. And in the end, the thing I have in common with those two is that I sit at the end of a radicalization pipeline. And I think it makes sense to question these algorithms and their decisions.
Oh, wow! That's what I've been saying this whole time. Congratulations! Good job.
Question whether emotionally vulnerable people really should be exposed to depression, suicide, and death. And whether anorexic people really should be exposed to weight loss ads.
Maybe you should be making that decision yourself. Just saying, bud.
Which I also got, but I didn't take screenshots, so there goes that. But we know that corporations are not uncaring. When they think about an edge case, they sometimes have good mechanisms in place. If you Google how to commit suicide, Google will give you the number of the suicide hotline. I don't think anyone ever called them. Personally, I had more anxiety about calling a stranger than I had fear of death, so I didn't call. But this is an example of Google being aware that sometimes the thing people need to hear and the thing people want to hear.
Yeah, so if you're gonna commit suicide, don't tell anyone about it, because you're guaranteed to fail. But the only reason you would tell people to you're going to kill yourself is because you're reaching out for help. So that's why I had to figure that took me a while to figure it out. So that was kind of bad on my part. Some people committed suicide because of things, because I didn't understand what they meant by that, which was kind of weird, because I also didn't realize that that's what I was saying when I said things like that. So yeah, it was kind of weird that I didn't make that connection in my brain, but now I do. So yeah.
Are not the same thing. Ultimately, what makes this such an issue is that the algorithms which make these decisions are not public. They're owned, controlled, and maintained by global corporations.
And I just demonstrated that that's not true. And I showed you exactly how easy it is to make your own. And if you would spend the time to go out and research this yourself, or maybe ask, hey, how do I get, into artificial intelligence, or just search it online and, join communities that do that, you would know this, and you wouldn't be spouting off this bullshit that, is on YouTube. So, yeah.
Which makes it incredibly hard to implement change, or even know who to contact to add an edge case for this one issue. So, depressingly, there may be nothing we can do about these algorithms. And originally I was going to end this video here on this slightly depressing note, but when I talked about it on my Discord server, I realized how wrong that is, especially on my channel. My channel is all about imagining grand ways of dealing with our modern issues. I don't say million stuff.
I'm gonna tell you something. I knew someone who could come up with all sorts of ideas, right? And all these ideas, you know, anyone can. My sister can come up with a fucking. My cat, a child, can come up with an idea. But until you implement it, until you test it in the real world, then it means nothing. It doesn't mean shit. You should seriously read Peter Thiel. There's several audiobooks on YouTube, and you can get an idea of the type of people you're up against, the capitalists, as it were. Peter Thiel he's a really smart man, and I take a lot of inspiration from him whenever I do business stuff. Perhaps I'm not the most competent speaking, and that's what makes it difficult for me to communicate ideas, so I just try to implement them and show people how they work. And then I let my work speak for me more so than my words, but I understand that being able to explain it is very important, especially explaining it in the most simplest terms possible. I like to take the Feynman approach to things. But yeah, I totally forgot. Oh, millions of you starve every year because of capitalism, and we don't do anything. Yeah, it doesn't really work under socialism either, because what you have is a distribution problem, and this is what I've been saying for quite some time in comments and YouTube comments, but I never really went public about it until today. I served in food charities, and I actually work with a company that's planning on coming up with a small solution to that's sustainable and can possibly feed a whole bunch of people. Community gardens is a great solution to fix starving people. In fact, community is what really solve these problems. It's not capitalism or socialism necessarily, although socialism, there are a lot fewer avenues to do that without being forced to. So yeah.
Starve each year because of capitalism, and we can't do anything about it. I say millions are starving, and here is what to do about it. There are two solutions to the issue with
Me too, Vicky. Me too.
YouTube's algorithms, or three, depending on how you want to count. The first one is suggested by my therapist, and it's just personal responsibility. She says everyone has the duty to take care of themselves and make sure that what they are listening to is okay for the person listening.
Yeah, and she's right, and I would tell you the same thing. I think she knows what's up. I bet she's a cutie. But yeah, I think Vicky's kind of cute too. I kind of like Vicky. She's kind of cute for a boy girl. But yeah, let's see.
This is a very common approach in therapy. It's easier to tell an individual to change their mind compared to trying to get Google to change the behavior of their bots.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw you another solution. Make your own platform. And obviously, don't be Parler. Learn your lessons from Parler and Gab. Don't use AWS, right? AWS is for fucking noobs and people who are, well, you know, not with the establishment. But even if you are a perceived threat to Facebook or any of these other companies, you're going to get shut down like that. You know, you're going to become Parler. So don't do that. Roll your own tech. And that's what I do, and that's why I'm so slow to get out InstaYif. It's because I'm doing like 10 different things at once. I'm trying to get off grid. I'm trying to, you know, build a robot. I'm trying to, you know, fulfill my duties at my job. And I'm trying to build a website. It is a lot for one person to do. I'm a very busy man. And yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and keep going until I don't run out of space on this thing.
But individualist solutions always have problems. Some may not realize what the songs are doing to them. Some may like what they hear. And some may know it's harmful, but continue to listen anyways. Actually, that's borderline culture. To know you're doing something harmful and irrational, but still not being able to stop yourself.
Yeah, that's not good. You should be able to practice self-control, and I find the best way to do that is to set aside some time every day, meditate, focus on your thoughts, right? And I'm a very impulsive person, which is why I'm making this reply to this video, and I should follow my own advice. But it really gets you to focus on what thoughts are coming in and to identify those thoughts, especially Vipassana is very good. It can help you focus on what's matter and sort out your mind and what's, what matters to you, right? If you smoke weed, it'll obviously make you a bit more impulsive and more prone to take risk, which is what I found for myself. It might be different because you're also taking HRT. I don't propose to know what that is, but being able to identify your thoughts and sort them out or identify them and just let them go, it'll help you a lot. And more than you realize, it's very subtle, but you find yourself being able to focus on things a lot better. And I think after this, I'm going to go ahead and have a nice little meditation session after I'm done being pissed off over some depressed trans person.
There are many reasons why individualism may not work. So what else is there? How can we make sure that issues like the one I found could be fixed by big corporations? I say we reform the way they work. Right now, Google is ruled by investors, and only their ideas are implemented and considered. So if a user like you or me wants to
invest in GameStop, faggot. Clone my effing repo so you will stop saying the stupid shit that you're saying. Please, God.
tell YouTube that its algorithm is potentially encouraging suicide, then we have no way to address that. There are two solutions. Unsurprisingly, I'm about to suggest socialism. There are two ways a corporation like Google could be socialized. We could move the control over Google from investors to employees.
You'd have more control if you invested in GameStop, and you could bankrupt hedge funds, and you could severely fuck them over with their own game, capitalism. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news lately. Maybe not, but maybe you're just too busy wallowing in your own sorrow, but good things are happening, even if the economy is crashing. Yeah. Investors to the employees, and yeah, you can do a co-op. You can have that in capitalism. It's nothing, and this is why I have a problem, and I have this listed out in my script towards Vicky. The problems with your definitions of what socialism is. You can socialize a workplace, whatever. Co-ops exist in capitalism anyway. So, yeah. Anyhow, let's go on to your next silly solution.
Meaning they would collectively own Google and democratically decide how to run it. This is basically a worker co-op. I have an old and bad video on that.
No, you had a good video on that, if I remember correctly. It explained it very well and how it would work in a capitalistic framework. You see, socialism can exist and coexist with capitalism, and it does right now. Right now, we have certain elements, especially in America, that are very bad and commonly screw over the little guy a lot. But yeah.
This way, because there are more employees who can suggest more things and be more approachable by users like me, issues like the current one could become rarer. Or the alternative, instead of having Google be controlled by the employees, we have it controlled by the users.
Yeah, and the best way to do that is to stop giving Google your attention, or create another platform that is better than Google and have your own technology stack that Google can't just shut down. It's not that hard. Well, okay, it's a Herculean task. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to do it myself. But yeah, that's one way to do it. And I think you would be a lot better programmer and computer science person if you tried to pursue something like that.
That would mean that everyone with a Google account would have a say in how Google is run. The logic is that social media like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and so on play such a major part in modern private and political life that people deserve to have democratic control over them, just for maximizing the global happiness by considering the will of more people.
Tell you what, I will let you work on InstaF uh, as part of a work study so you can get a better job so you'll stop complaining about stupid socialism like this. You know, the only thing is, you know, you can still make your videos. I don't care if you do that. I'm still gonna tell you what a stupid person you are, but I'll pay you to work on my application if you know JavaScript pretty well. This is an advertisement, you know. I don't know what the rates are in Austria. I'll take a look into it. Yeah, just talk to me after this, because I am looking for someone to help me build an application. So if you want to learn how to do what a recommender engine and how it works, that would be great. You know, and maybe you can get a little bit of a better understanding of how it works. So yeah.
Cases like that, people could just vote on issues related to Google and YouTube, and then all it would take to fix the algorithm would be someone making a video on why it's problematic, which could sway the majority opinion and thereby fix the problem. And that is the solution, or at least one of them.
The problem with that is that people will say one thing and then they'll behave another. This is the reason why Google relies on behavior analytics rather than what people say they want. And this is why it works so well, and it brings in so much money. You're not going to convince me or any other company that uses analytics to do that. We do that in charities, we do that in all sorts of websites. WordPress websites, everyone has it. It's not like you're not going to do this. And if you do, you're going to run it at a loss, probably, unless you have a very good product that people like. So there you go. Maybe you won't accept my offer, and that's fine. But I can already tell you, I'm leagues ahead of you in this stuff. And and just from how you explained it, get good. I'm willing to share this information with you. You know, maybe that's not the wisest decision for me to do this, but we need more programmers and we need more people who can do this sort of thing, because it's hard. This stuff's hard, and it's not easy to get something up and running really quickly, especially by yourself, even with the most modern tools available to you. But yeah, go on.
For now, we have to hope that some engineer working at Google sees this video and decides to add an edge case. Perhaps if everyone shares it, Google will notice. And you should also like and subscribe while you're at it. Did you know that only 52% of my viewers are subscribed? There, I said the YouTuber thing. And I don't have anything else to say to this. So this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I really like that song that she has at the end of her video. But yeah, anyway, so that's Vicky and her view of what she thinks algorithms and ethics is. I personally don't think we have a responsibility to the people. I think the people have a responsibility to basically police their own behavior and understand that how these things work. I think it's very important that people should understand how these algorithms work. And you know, people at Facebook don't even, you know, have Facebooks because they don't want to get butt fucked. And also, if you're going to make a social media, don't use any of Silicon Valley's services. They're going after new platforms, and I think we all realize this now because of Parler. But yeah, in fact, I'm not gonna say what's going on at my job because I'm a little bit scared to tell people what that is. I don't want to lose that job. But we do have ideas to make platforms for people who are into free speech, and we're planning on selling server space to people who do that. And I think it would be nice if I could sell server space to people as well, and become part of the internet that is segregated from Google, because Google can go fuck themselves, and they are pieces of shit that need to be toppled down. And hopefully I will be one of the people to move that along. But anyways, thank you for watching. I don't really care if you subscribe or not. I don't know. This is just my little bitching platform and to show you what I do for my tech, you know. And If you like this video, like, subscribe, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. Alright. Night.